living water, Baruch haba Hashem Yahuwah. Yahusha, living water, Baruch haba Hashem Yahuwah. I sing out with praise to you. Your name is beautiful to me, my King. I sing out with praise to you. My heart desires to honor you, my God. I sing out with praise to Yahusha, living Torah, Baruch haba Hashem Yahuwah. Yahusha, living Torah, Baruch haba Hashem Yahuwah. I sing out with praise to you. Your name is beautiful to me, my King. I sing out with praise to you. My heart desires to honor you, my God. I sing out with praise to you, Yahusha, living Torah, Baruch haba Hashem Yahuwah. Baruch haba Hashem Yahuwah. Baruch haba Hashem Yahuwah. Baruch haba Hashem Yahuwah.
Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah our Elohim. Yahuwah is one, and you shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart, and with all your being, and with all your might. And these words which I am commanding you today shall be in your heart, and you shall impress them upon your children, and you shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up, and shall bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. And the second one is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Ooh-ah. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Glad you're all here. Hey, wow, man. What a fast week this was. Woo. I can't even believe it's already the 6th day, starting Yom Shabbat on the 7th day this evening. Wow. Well, nevertheless, it is what it is, and we're here. I trust everybody's gotten through the deception easily and boldly. And we can see even more paganism approaching us in the near future. We need to be aware of, keep our guards up, keep the armor of Yahuwah on, keep our nose to the grindstone, buried in the word of truth. This evening, I want to kind of go over some things, kind of a reminder more than anything else, but maybe some other things that we haven't really been thinking about lately, or maybe never thought about, and that is that no servant is greater than his master. We all sometimes forget who we are, and we forget our place. And we are the servants of righteousness. We are not the king of kings and master of masters. And so we need to sometimes be reminded of this, and we need to get back to our place and realize that we're servants of righteousness. And we need to also realize that Yahusha came as a servant as well, and the things that he had to go through as a servant, we should by no means think that we would not have to go through the same things. And we do, and we will. And we need to be reminded of that. We need to recognize that and be prepared for it so that it doesn't make us fall away, lead us astray. Because the devil will use that at every opportunity he has. He will use that against you. But if you're aware of it and you're prepared for it, then you should be able to resist the devil, and then he'll flee from you. And you don't need to fall for his tricks or into his snare. We do have the knowledge and the abilities given to us by the Ruach HaKodesh to resist the devil. All right, so that's kind of what we're going to be talking about this evening. Let me go over here and say hello to a few people before we get started. And Hopefully this lesson won't be extremely long this evening. It'll be up to Yahusha where this goes, but some reason he's put on my heart this is to be very important for a lot of folks out there. So here we go. Sandra Brunston, glad you're here, sister. Peggy Russell, glad you're here, sister. Ronald Sternberg, glad you're here, brother. Kate Connell, glad you're here, sister. Raul Kodo, glad you're here, brother. Isaiah Diaz from El Paso, glad you're here, brother. Lou White, glad you're here, brother. Phyllis White, glad you're here, sister. Valerie, glad you're here, sister. Lattering, glad you're here, sister. Yami Koto, I know you're there somewhere. So I'll say hi to you too. Glad you're here, sister. Okay, so here we go then. I need to turn this down a notch. There we go. That's probably a little bit better. All right. So I think we all understand, most of us anyway, the Nazarene for sure should understand that we are under a set apart command. We are to be set apart from the world. We are to be different. We are not to be part of the world or the children of darkness. We're supposed to stay apart, and meaning not being like them, acting like them, chasing the things they chase: power, position, and possessions, the three faults of the human race. But we're supposed to walk in the true pattern of Yahusha HaMashiach. And that means we're supposed to be like him, at least pursue to be like him. And then he helps us by sending the Paracleta, or the Comforter, to us to help us stay set apart and walk in his true pattern. And endure by staying obedient to the 10 Debarim until Yahusha arrives in the second coming, or we fall asleep with the Ruach in us. So we can expect certain things to happen as we walk in the true pattern of Yahusha. And some of them is not too desirable, but nevertheless, they are something that we can know that's going to happen. Okay, so the things that happen to Yahusha are some of the same things that we know are going to happen to us, even as we walk in this world, set apart. We're still in this world. We're not of this world. We're waiting for a fatherland. We're waiting for the millennium reign and the eternal reign into the new earth, new heaven, new city, new bodies, is what we are enduring for, is what we're hoping for, that's what we're anticipating, and it's our expectation. Okay, but in the meantime, as we walk and continue to walk in this dust, and dwell in these temples of Yahuwah, we can expect the world to be against us, because it was against Yahuwah. It was against Yahusha and Yahuwah when he came in the flesh. And we can expect our families not to believe us, not to go along with the truth we have found, rejection, maybe even thinking we're crazy, we're outcasts, we're in a cult, we've lost our minds, we're outside of our mind, all this other kind of stuff. And we can even know that the children of darkness, which is also continually continuing to walk in the dust alongside of us will be warring against us. And so they will be against us, and we can expect that. We can expect betrayal, and betrayal is kind of a unique thing. Betrayal never comes from your enemies. Betrayal always comes from your friends and your family and those who you love. So we can expect that. Why? Because all these things happen to Yahusha. That's why. We're no better than he is. We can expect persecution all around us. We can expect people not to hear us when we speak. We can expect people to ignore us. We can expect people to mock us. We can expect people to gossip about us. We can expect people to accuse us of blasphemy, call us names, say that we're demon possessed, or we're children of darkness because we don't agree with their standards, or statutes of religion. We can expect for people to even look us in the eye and say, "What are you doing here, child of light? Hit the road, Jack. Don't come back." These type of things. And to make no mistake, they know who you are. They can identify you very easily, perhaps even more easily than you can identify them. So this is what we're going to study about this evening. And I hope it brings relief and comfort to most. And it may bring alarm some of us, and even put fear in some of us that does not know Yahuwah. And if that needs to be, it needs to be. Nevertheless, we're going to begin in 1 John, 1 Yehukanan, chapter 1. And let's go to, chapter 2. So 1 Yehukanan, chapter 2, verse 3 through 6. And it says, "And by this we know that we know him, if we guard his commands. The one who says, 'I know him,' and does not guard his commands is a liar, and the truth is not in him." The truth being the Ruach HaKodesh, or the word of Yahuwah. "But whoever guards his word, truly the love of Yahuwah has been perfected in him. By this we know that we are in him. The one who says he lives in him ought himself also to walk even as he walked." So there we go. So we're going to walk in the true pattern of Yahusha, and we're going to experience the things that Yahusha experienced. Okay, so that's setting the table for us, right? So let's go over and take a look then at 1 Peter. Go to 1 Peter 3:16. Actually, 1 Peter let's go to 3:10, and we'll read down through 22. Let's do that. Okay. So let's see here. how Yahusha lived and what happened to him, so that we're going to know what we can expect to happen to us, especially if we know him, especially if we have entered into the everlasting covenant with him. Okay, you can rest assured that these things will happen to you, whether you like it or not. Okay, so 1 Peter 3:10 through 22. For he who wishes to love life and see good days, let him keep his tongue from evil and his lips from speaking deceit. Let him turn away from evil and do good. Let him seek peace and pursue it. Because the eyes of Yahuwah are on the righteous, and his ears are open to their prayers. But the face of Yahuwah is against those who do evil. And who is the one doing evil to you, if you become imitators of the good? See, imitators of the good. But even if you suffer for uprightness' sake, you are blessed. So all these things that's going to come upon us as we accept Yahuwah and enter into the everlasting covenant with him is a blessing. They appear at first, or on the outside, not to be, but it is. You're blessed because your reward, if you suffer with Yahusha, your reward is going to be great. Okay, so it's not all gloom and doom and bad news. It's just what we need to expect to happen as we walk as he walked. And don't forget, he's in us. So if the world treated him badly, it's going to continue to treat him badly, even as he's in us, until his second coming and he judges sin. Then he'll eliminate it. And do not fear their threats. That's the world, the children of darkness. Do not fear their threats, neither be troubled. But set apart Yahuwah Elohim in your heart, and always be ready to give an answer to everyone asking you a reason concerning the hope that is in you, with meekness and fear, having a good conscience, so that when they speak against you as doers of evil, those who falsely accuse your good behavior in Mashiach shall be ashamed. Okay, so here we can expect for them to call us evil. Although we're good, by being obedient, they're going to call us evil. They may call you a heretic. They may call you a legalist. They may call you, say that you're a cult member, whatever. Okay, but they're going to call your good works evil because you're being obedient to the Master. Walk as he walked. He walked in obedience. So if you do that, expect ridicule for it. And false accusations such as, oh, you're evil. You're an occult. You're a heretic. You're blaspheming. You done lost your mind. You're outside your mind, boy. But they will be ashamed. They shall be ashamed. For it is better, if it is the desire of Elohim, to suffer for doing good than for doing evil. That sure makes a lot of sense to me. Because even Mashiach once suffered for sins. See, so even he suffered once for sins. Like he didn't sin, he suffered for sins, did he not? Yes, he did. He was the scapegoat. the just for the unjust, to bring you to Elohim, having been put to death indeed in flesh, but made alive in the Ruach, in which also he went and proclaimed to the Ruachs in prison, who were disobedient at one time, when the patience of Elohim waited in the Yamam of Noah, while the ark was being prepared, in which a few, that is 8 persons, were delivered through water, which figure now also saves us, immersion, not putting away of the filth of the flesh, but the pledge of a good conscience toward Elohim. And so we need to go through a water immersion as well, in the true pattern of Yahusha, through the resurrection of Yahusha Mashiach, who, having gone into heaven, is at the right hand of Elohim. Messengers and authorities and powers have been subjected to him. All right. So these are some things that we can expect. For sure, to be called evil, to be called names, wickedness, cult, heretic, a witch, a betrayer, whatever. Okay. And expect it. Okay. So we'll see some examples of Yahusha being called some names, accused of these type of things. But for right now, let's go to look at John. Let's go to look at John 13. John 13, everybody. So John 13. 16. Truly, truly, I say to you, this is Yahusha talking, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is an emissary greater than he who sent him. So there you go. So we are to not think we're beyond the persecution of our master. If he was persecuted for his teachings and the message he brought, the Master Yahusha, so will we. So will we. Okay. So with that said, let's go to John 15. Now, Yehukanan 15 is what I call the Nazarene chapter. And it kind of speaks to us in a way that we should understand that we're a part of Yahusha. We're an extension of Yahusha's teachings and his walk. And so he lives through us and continues to walk as he walked when he was in the flesh, walking on the earth. And he's continuing his teachings through us, through his chosen vessels. And this Nazarene chapter, I think, is really spot on about the life of a Nazarene. And I think it's important that every Nazarene read this over and over and over and over again, and slowly and deliberately and precisely. And really, if you could learn it verbatim, would be perfect. So let's look at it. Yehukanan 15. And then we'll get into some examples of the way Yahusha was persecuted, why he walked in the dust here with us. So Yehukanan 15 says, I am the true vine, and my Father is the gardener. Every branch in me that bears no fruit, It means you have to spread the sword of Yahusha and bring other people into the fold, into the covenant. Each branch in me that bears no fruit, he takes away. If you bear no fruit, who as a gardener, he will clip you away, which is a horrible thing. And so we all must be busy about our Father's work, and we must be very busy about working the harvest. It's easier than you think to get people to come to Yahuwah, and then he does the rest. We just need to plant the seeds. We can go and we can work the harvest and get those that have been planted already and watered and pruned, and then we can harvest them and bring them into the everlasting covenant, and we collect fruit. We survive, or we can survive, I should say, off the efforts of others. Isn't our Elohim great? He's very great and powerful. He wants you to have fruit. And so every branch in me that bears no fruit, he takes away. So don't get caught with no fruit in your basket. You have to work the harvest, man. And every branch that bears fruit, he prunes so that it bears more fruit. So even if you get one person, he's going to prune you so you get more. He doesn't want you to stop working the harvest. Work the harvest, endure. You are already clean because of the word which I have spoken to you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch is unable to bear fruit of itself, unless it remains in the vine, so neither you, unless you remain in me. So you must remain in Yahuwah, in Yahusha, and Yahusha in you if you expect to bear fruit. You can't do it on your own. You can't go out there in left field somewhere and try to gather fruit on your own. Can't do that. I am the vine, and you are the branches, which is the Nazarene. So he named us the Nazarene. He who remains in me and I in him, he bears much fruit. Because without me, you are able to do nothing, able to do zero, nothing. Can't collect any fruit, can't do nothing without Yahuwah in you. You have to have the Ruach HaKodesh in you. And then you'll bear much fruit. A tree is known by its fruits. So you gather the good fruits, the ones that come to Yahuwah, they get to know Yahuwah, they enter everlasting covenant, and they endure and they stay in Yahuwah, and you in them. That's good fruit, man. You're a good tree. You're gathering, you're bearing a lot of good fruit. So a tree is known by its fruit. If you have no fruit, or if you have bad fruit, you can be a bad tree. So you could be out spreading lies about Scripture, telling people that it means this and it means that when it doesn't, and leading them astray. It's talking about outside sources and all this and that, leading people astray away from the foundation, away from Yahuwah. Then you're a bad tree and you're going to yield bad fruit. You're in big trouble. Your fruit must remain. Not only do you have to collect fruit, produce fruit, work the harvest, it must remain. It has to remain. If you lose your fruit, you're in trouble. You better either go try to find that fruit that you lost, or you better get busy trying to accumulate more fruit. Something. You have to at least have one person with you. You have to. You can have a lot more, but at least one. You need at least to double it. You're the one fruit. You need to bring somebody that's two fruits to get in. There's a very good parable about that. Actually, several of them. But without me, you're unable to do nothing. That's plain as the nose on your face. You can't do anything without Yahusha. You got to stay in the foundation. You got to keep Yahusha with you, man. If anyone does not remain in me, he is thrown away as a branch and dries up. And they gather them and throw them into the fire, and they are burned. You see that? You got to stay in Yahusha and Yahusha in you, man. If you remain in me and my words remain in you, you shall ask whatever you wish, and it shall be done for you. Do you believe it's this? Is this my Father? In this my Father is esteemed, that you bear much fruit, and you shall be my pupils. Wow. So you're esteeming Yahuwah as you gather your fruit. And you will be the pupils of Yahusha, because that's what he did. He worked the harvest. He gathered the fruit through everything, through all persecution, through everything that happened to him. He continued to work the harvest, and he bore much fruit, and he's continuing to bear fruit. But he loves you so much that he'll share some of his fruit with you. All you have to do is remain in him. As the Father has loved me, I have also loved you. Remain in my love. If you guard my commands, you shall remain in my love. Even as I have guarded my Father's commands and remain in his love. So that's how you remain in his love, is by obeying his commands. That's pretty clear. So if you teach that his commands is abolished or they're not relevant, then you have no way of staying in his love. You can't stay in his love. That's the sole factor that keeps you in his love, is obeying his commands. He just told us that. By the way, this is Yahusha talking. These words which I have spoken to you, so that my joy might be in you, and that your joy might be complete. This is my command, that you love one another, as I have loved you. No one has greater love than this, that one should lay down his life for his friends. Okay, now, that you love one another that loved you is basically the second greatest command, to love your neighbors yourself. It's the same thing. Okay, and so, obeying the last 6 commandments, the 10 to Barum, is kind of a default. If you do obey those last 6, you automatically love others. You'll love others as yourself. And then even more, some people, a remnant, learn to love others more than themselves. Okay. No one has greater love than this, that one should lay down his life for his friends. Now, Yahusha did this literally. All right. So he came to die. He came to die. He came to shed the blood of the Ruach HaKodesh. How could the Ruach HaKodesh, which is Ruach, shed his blood for the sins of the world? Well, first of all, he had to have blood. And the only way he could have blood was to become human. So he took his body of light, firstborn of all creation that he was dwelling, and he sent it to the earth, and he remained in it, in the Shemayim. And when he came down into the earth, into Mary's womb, he remained in it, and it was transformed into flesh and was born into the world. And he walked in the world, and his body was no longer a body of light, but a body of flesh, and he still was in it. He remained in it. Okay, until his death. and then he derobed or disrobed himself of that fleshly body. Yahuwah himself did not die, but the fleshly lamb did die and hung on the stake and shed his blood for the sins of the world. Okay. And this was a literal situation here, and I'm sure it's what Yahusha was talking about. There's also a spiritual thing to this. Okay, so that one should lay down his life for his friends. If you lay down your life, okay, and you give everything you got up to follow Yahusha, you're laying down your life for your friends, so that way you can bring the Basora of Yahusha to your friends, family, and neighbors, and deliver the message of salvation to them, that they can be pardoned, forgiven of their sins, and inherit everlasting life. And so you're making your life, this is your number one function in life, to spread the Basora of Yahusha. You're giving up your life for your friends. You're no longer self-seeking power, positions, and possessions. You're seeking to help others have everlasting life. And so you're giving up your life for others. You see that? So this could apply in that fashion. Don't worry. Yahuwah says if you give up everything for him, he's going to return it to you 100-fold. And so we'll see that as we study through here. No longer do I call you servants, for a servant does not know what his master is doing. But I have called you friends, for all teachings which I heard from my Father I have made known to you. You did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you that you should go and bear fruit, and that your fruit should endure, so that whatever you ask the Father in my name, he might give you. So your fruit needs to endure, or it's not counted. And a lot of people have this assumption that they choose to believe, they choose Yahusha, they choose to go out and save all these people and everything and that and this and that, but they're in error. Look, Yahuwah doesn't need me. He doesn't need you. Yahuwah chose his people before the foundations of the earth. He knows who his people are. Whether you were born or not, he knows who his people are and who he's going to deliver. So what are we doing? We're his servant. We're working for him, and we're helping him with his world that he created, with his creation. That's what we're doing. We're just serving the master, man. We're not doing anything on our own. We can do nothing on our own. So stop acting like you're saving the world. Collect your fruit, work the harvest, be a good servant of righteousness. Serve Yahuwah. Walk humbly with Yahuwah. That's what we do. Don't be overzealous. There's nothing depends on you. It's all Yahuwah. He's already decided it long ago, before he created anything, who's going to be with him in eternal reign. So just do your job as a servant of righteousness and help Yahuwah gather the fruit. He's saying, go out and gather my fruit. Go find my lost sheep. That's what we do. He didn't say, go out and decide who gets delivered or not, or who goes to the lake of fire. He never told us that. He just said, go gather my fruit. Go find my lost sheep. Should put everything in a little bit of a different perspective for you. I'm going to go ahead and continue with this because This is a very important chapter. These words, I command you so that you love one another. If the world hates you, you know that it hated me before you. So this is clear as the nose on your face that the world is going to hate you. So you can expect this. They will hate you. So when they hate you, don't feel bad. Feel glad. You know, it should bring you joy, not depression. Why? Because they're giving you evidence that you are a child of Yahuwah. You are walking in the true pattern of your master. They hated him. He just said it. If the world hates you, you know that it hated me before you. So it hated him. It's going to hate you. Expect it and be joyful about it. Because you're worthy to be counted as a child of light, man. If that happens. Yeah, it hurts. You know, it hurts you. You have to feel the hurt and the pain of the rejection. Okay, but you need to be collective and collect that as a blessing and realize, oh, I am suffering with the Mashiach. When he was rejected, when the world hated him, he came to save the world, but it hated him instead. Wow, what kind of pain did he feel? And so you get a little taste of that pain, and it should bring you happiness and joy to just feel a little bit of what he felt. So expect it. The world will hate you because it hated him. That's the one thing you will experience for sure. If you were of the world would love its own. But because you are not of the world, but I chose you out of the world, he chose you out of the world. He called you out. For that reason, the world hates you. They hate you because you've been chosen by Yahusha Mashiach, who the world hated. You were chosen to represent him in this fallen world. And they hate you for it. Maybe jealousy, maybe pride, maybe arrogance, who knows the motivation, but they will hate you because you were chosen by Yahusha to represent him. So you do represent Yahusha. Remember the word that I said to you. A servant is not greater than his master. We just read that over in John 13:16, right? A servant is not greater than his master. If they persecuted me, they shall persecute you too. If they have guarded my word, they would guard yours too. So understand now that you're going to be persecuted. He's telling you, you're not greater than he is. You're going to feel his pain, man. And you have to feel his pain in order to represent him and draw others to him. It's clear. If they persecuted me, they shall persecute you too. So expect it. Matter of fact, pray for it. That you represent him well. And to ask him to help you get over the persecution. Get through that persecution. So expect it. It's coming. If you haven't ever experienced it, you will. Stay in him and you will. But all this they shall do to you because of my name. Because they do not know him who sent me. If I had not come and spoken to them, they would have no sin. But now they have no excuse for their sin. He who hates me hates my Father as well. Wow, powerful stuff right there now. All right, so this they shall do to you because of my name, because they do not know him who sent me. They don't know Yahuwah. Okay, not only they not know Yahuwah, they don't know who Yahusha is. But because you bear his name, okay, because you bear his name, they're against you. And here's a powerful thought, is you know his true name, and so they're really against you. And the ones that use the false name or false titles or devices, they're persecuted for their religious imitation, okay, but not for the name. If I did not do among them the works which no one else did, meaning the works of you only Yahuwah the Father could do, no man can do it, no Malachim can do it, no devil can do it. Only Yahuwah can do these works. If I did not do among them the works which no one else did, they would have no sin. But now they have both seen and have hated both me and my Father, but that the word might be concluded, which was written in their Torah, they hated me without a cause. What he's saying is here, through the works that he did, they should have known he was Yahuwah, because only Yahuwah could do those type of works. But they didn't, and so they didn't know him. And as a matter of fact, they hated him for doing those works, which means they hated the Father, because it was the Father in him that was doing those works. Just so that the writing in the Torah could be concluded. Isn't that amazing? Written in their Torah, they hated me without a cause. Wow, man, powerful stuff. And when the helper comes, the Ruach HaKodesh, the helper comes, or the Ruach of Yahusha, same thing, whom I shall send to you from the Father, the Ruach of the truth, who comes from the Father, he shall bear witness of me. But you also bear witness, because you have been with me from the beginning. All right, man. So very powerful stuff here in this chapter. And so we can see clearly here that we can expect for the world to hate us. So don't feel bad if the world hates you. Feel blessed. You're baruched. Okay? All right, so let's go back now and get a look at some of these things here that happened to Yahusha. So, and we can expect for them to happen to us as well. And it should be quite interesting as we read through these. Okay. Let's go to Yehukanan 5. Yehukanan 5, 9 through 21. And immediately the man became well, and he took up his bed and was walking. This was a sign or a miracle that Yahusha did. He healed a man that couldn't walk. He took up his bed and was walking. Now it was the Sabbath. It was the Shabbat on that Yom. The Yehudim therefore said to him who had been healed, "It is the Shabbat. It is not right for you to take up the bed." He answered them, "He who made me well said to me, 'Take up your bed and walk.'" Therefore they asked him, "Who is the man who said to you, 'Take up your bed and walk'?" But the one who was healed did not know who it was, for Yahusha had moved away. A multitude being in that place. Afterward, Yahusha found him in the Kadesh place and said to him, "See, you have been made well. Sin no more, so that no worse thing befalls you." What would be a worse thing to befall him if he continued to sin? Going to the lake of fire? That's what. A lot of people say, "Oh, what's that? Could be he was crippled. That means he's going to be crippled again, then blinded and demon possessed. He's going to worse things going to." No. He's going if he continues to sin, the worst thing that will befall him is he'll be going to the lake of fire. That's worse than being crippled, blind, deaf, mutilated, anything. That's the worst thing that could possibly happen to anybody. So sin no more. The man went away and told the Yehudim that it was Yahusha who made him well. And because of this, the Yehudim persecuted Yahusha and were seeking to kill him because he was doing these on the Shabbat. Okay, so what's this telling us? This is telling us that we can expect to be persecuted by others if we do good on the Shabbat. They think they understand Shabbat and exactly what you're allowed to do and what you can't do. And so if you do good on Shabbat, if you save somebody's life, if you do good on the Shabbat, expect persecution because they did it to Yahusha. Those who think they are holier than thou will persecute you for doing good on the Shabbat, even though it shows extreme amount of love. For some reason, they think they have the right to condemn you, like they're the master of the Shabbat or something, right? Can you imagine how Yahusha felt here? He's out on Shabbat. He runs across a man that's crippled. He heals this man, gives him the ability to walk. Says, "Pick up your bed and go, man. You're free from your disease, from your ailment, from what keeping you crippled." He lets the man go and walk, and he is being proclaimed as evil, as an evil act, as breaking the law, as being a sinner, because he committed a good act on Yom Shabbat. How did Yahusha feel? Well, you'll feel the persecution if you do good on Shabbat. Believe me, there's plenty of people out there going to point the fingers and say, "You aren't even supposed to be out of your house. What are you doing? You broke the Shabbat." And you'll feel exactly how Yahusha felt. He goes on and says, "But Yahusha answered them, 'My Father works until now, and I work.' Because of this, then, the Yehudim were seeking all the more to kill him. They wanted to kill him for healing a man on the Shabbat. Called him a sinner. We all know that he never sinned. So somebody's lying here. Who do you suppose is the liar? Because not only was he breaking the Shabbat, but he also called Elohim his own father. making himself equal with Elohim. Okay, so this meant to the Hebrew mindset, they knew that this idiom is that when he said making himself equal with the Father, meant that he was the Father. He was proclaiming to be the Father. The Hebrew had no problem understanding what Yahusha was saying here. That's why they wanted to kill him for breaking the Shabbat, which was a capital punishment of one of the 10 Debarim, and proclaiming to be Yahuwah. They knew what he was proclaiming to be. They had no problem with that. They knew. So here we go. If you do good on Shabbat, you can expect persecution. Okay. If you say that you're the son of Elohim, you're son of Lot, you can expect persecution, mocking, all kinds of stuff. Okay. Therefore, Yahusha responded and said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, the Son is able to do none at all by himself. Just like he was telling us, you can do nothing all by yourself. So what is he talking about here? He's told us that without me, you can do nothing. Now he's saying that the Son is able to do none at all by himself. What's going on there? It's just a contradiction? No, it's not. It's just his flesh talking. This is his human nature. He's duality in the sense that he has two natures, fully human and fully divine. So this is his human nature speaking now. As a human, if I was just a human, I'm going to paraphrase this. If I was just a human, I could do nothing. But since I'm Yahuwah, I can do all these things, all these works that you're seeing me do. Yeah, it's paraphrasing, but it's exactly what he's saying. But only that which he sees the Father doing. He's only doing what he sees the Father do. So in other words, it appears as it's the man doing it, but it really isn't. It's the Father doing it. It's his divine nature doing it. Because whatever he does, the Son also likewise does. See that? Bam! That right there is the icing on the cake. So whatever he does, the Son, whatever the Father does, the Son also likewise does. Why? Because they have a dual nature. It's the Father robed in the flesh. That's all. His body of light became a body of flesh, and he remained in it as he walked in the dust with us. That's it, man. So the firstborn of all creation, the messenger of Yahuwah, the Word, were all names for his body of light. See that? So when the Word became flesh and walked among us, that means his body of light was transformed over into flesh, and he continued to walk among us in his body of flesh, just like he indwelled his body of light, the firstborn of all creation, Genesis 1 through 5. And John 1 through 5 as well testifies to it. For the Father loves the Son and shows him all that he himself does. And greater works than these he is going to show him in order that you marvel. For as the Father raises the dead and makes alive, even so the Son makes alive whom he wishes. There it is. Only Yahuwah can do that. So that's telling you that the Lamb of Yahuwah, which he calls the Son always refers to the incarnation, always is Yahuwah in the flesh, robed in flesh. Does that mean he left his omnipotence to walk in that fleshly body? Absolutely not. Did he leave his omnipotence in order to be seen in his body of light, sitting on the throne, or talking to Moshe as he walked past the cliff, or eating and drinking with Abraham and Sarah, or walking with Samson's parents, or wrestling with Jacob, or walking in the garden with Adam and Eve? Absolutely not. He was still everywhere, all the time, at once, even in his body. He wasn't confined and restricted to that one specific place, just like he's not confined or restricted to the one role of the Son. He played both roles, the Father and the Son, and all the other roles he felt like playing. Maybe it's not even written in here. Do whatever he wants. He's Yahuwah, for crying out loud. Okay, so anyways, we can expect persecution for doing good on Shabbat. We can expect persecution for saying that we're the sons of Elohim, or the sons of light. Okay, the children of Yahuwah. We can experience persecution, so expect it and accept it and be happy about it. Okay, so now let's look over here at Yehukanan 6, 5 through 27. So Yehukanan 6, 5 through 27 says, Then Yahusha, lifting up his eyes and seeing a large multitude coming toward him, said to Philip, Where shall we buy bread for them to eat? And this he said, testing him. And he himself knew what he would do. Philip answered him, 200 pieces of silver worth of bread is not sufficient for them, for every one of them to receive a little. So Philip flunked the test. You notice that? One of his Talmudim, Andrew, the brother of Shimon Kepha, said to him, Here is a boy who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fishes. But what are these for so many? And Yahusha said, Make the people sit down. Now there was much grass in the place, and the men, numbering about 5,000, sat down. And Yahusha took the loaves, and having given thanks, he distributed them to the pupils, and the pupils to those sitting down, and the same with the fish, as much as they wished. And when they were filled, he said to his Talmudim, Gather the broken pieces that are left over, so that none gets wasted. So they gathered them and filled 12 baskets with broken pieces of the 5 barley loaves, which was left over by those who had eaten. Then the men, having seen the sign that Yahusha did, said, This is truly the prophet who is coming to the world. Then Yahusha, knowing that they were about to come and seize him, that they might make him sovereign, withdrew again to the mountain, alone by himself. And when evening came, his pupils went to the sea. So we can also anticipate being alone. Okay, alone by himself. We can also anticipate being alone at times. Okay, and entering into the boat, they were going over the sea toward Kephar Nahum, and it had already become dark, and Yahusha had not yet come to them, and the sea was rising because a great wind was blowing. When they had rowed about 5 or 6 kilometers, they saw Yahusha walking on the sea, and coming near the boat, they were frightened. And he said to them, It is I, do not be frightened. They wished, therefore, to take him into the boat, and at once the boat was at the land where they were going. So he transported that boat to the shore, really quick like. On the next Yom, the multitude that was standing on the other side of the sea saw that there was no other boat there except that one into which his pupils had entered, and that Yahusha had not entered the boat with his pupils, but his pupils went away alone. But other boats came from Kinnereth near the place where they ate bread after the master had given thanks. Therefore, when the multitude saw that Yahusha was not there, nor his pupils, they themselves also entered into the boats and came to Kephar Nahum seeking Yahusha. And having found him on the other side of the sea, they asked him, Rabbi, when did you come here? Yahusha answered them and said, Truly, truly, I say to you, you seek me not because you saw signs, but because you ate of the loaves and were satisfied. Do not labor for the food that is perishing, but for the food that is remaining to everlasting life, which the Son of Adam shall give you, for the Father Elohim has sent his seal on him, set his seal on him. So here we see now that these people that were fed with the barley and the fishes were chasing him down to get more food from him, free food. So since this happened to Yahusha, we can expect, or you go out and teach the Basur of Yahusha to people, talk to people, friends, neighbors, acquaintances, whatever, family, you can expect for some of them to continue to come around, not to listen to the Basur of Yahusha or your knowledge of scriptures, but for personal gain, to get stuff from you. Oh, yeah, brother, I need some money to pay my electric bill. Didn't you say scripture says you're supposed to help me out? Yeah, here's the money for your electric bill. Oh, man, I'm kind of short on cash today. I need to buy some bread and milk. Can you give me some money for bread and milk? So in other words, they're using your passion to teach them the sort of Yahusha for personal gain, taking advantage of you. So you can expect it. Expect it. It happened to Yahusha. They were chasing him around, not because of the signs and the teachings of his, but because they ate the loaves and were satisfied. They wanted more food. They wanted to feed their bodies more. So expect it. All right, so let's go over here. See some more stuff that happened to Yahusha that we can expect to happen to us. And we'll stay in chapter 6 of John, but we'll go over here to verse 45 to 71. It has been written in the prophets, and they shall all be taught by Yahuwah. So who are we being taught by? Yahuwah. Everyone then who heard from the Father and learned comes to me. Not that anyone has seen the Father except he who is from Elohim. He has seen the Father. Okay. Let me say this. There's people out there that Yahuwah has touched their life. He has showed them the secrets of his Torah. He has gave them edification of the word of truth. They have discernment. Sometimes they're called elders. But the thing that Yahuwah does is he seems to teach us through these people for a while. And then once we reach a certain level of spirituality or spiritual insight, Yahuwah seems to begin to deal with that individual on a more of a personal basis or a one-on-one basis. And he'll begin to open their eyes and their ears to truth and begin to show them the secrets of the Torah. And at this point of somebody's walk is when they begin to really understand what it's all about. So you can rest assured in your walk that you're going to go through this process. And someday you'll find yourself in the secret place of Yahuwah, and he'll be speaking with you directly one-on-one instead of speaking to you through someone else. And if you get to that place, then you know that the reign of Yahuwah is near to you. All right. So truly, truly, I say to you, he who believes in me possesses everlasting life. I am the bread of life. Your fathers ate the manna in the desert and they died. This is the bread which comes down out of the heaven, so that anyone might eat of it and not die. I am the living bread which came down out of the heaven. If anyone eats of this bread, he shall live forever. And indeed, the bread that I shall give is my flesh, which I shall give for the life of the world. So he's saying he's going to sacrifice his flesh. He's going to be the lamb, the sacrificial lamb for the sins of the world. That's what he's talking about. If you believe in the power of the blood of Yahusha's lamb, Yahuwah's lamb, Yahusha, then you'll have life. If you believe in the power of the blood of animals, then you'll stay in darkness. You'll remain in darkness. The Yehudim, therefore, were striving with one another, saying, how is this one able to give us his flesh to eat? Yahusha therefore said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, unless you eat the flesh of the son of Adam and drink the blood, you possess no life in yourself. He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood possesses everlasting life, and I shall raise him in the last yom. So you have to believe in the power of the blood that came out of the Yahuwah's flesh, the blood of the Ruach HaKodesh that came out of Yahuwah's flesh and spilled. The spilling of that blood, the shedding of that blood. Because without the shedding of that blood, there is no deliverance. You have to believe in the power of that blood to return you to a virgin status and blot out your sins and return and clean you up to the point that you have been returned to virgin status. No blemishes, no wrinkles, no stains. You're clean and white as snow. For my flesh is truly food, and my blood is truly drink. Food and drink is what sustains you and keeps you alive. And what he's saying here, his flesh, his body, and his blood will keep you alive, give you everlasting life. That's the true food and the true drink, because it doesn't just sustain you for a temporal lifespan. It gives you his flesh and his blood will sustain you for eternity, give you everlasting life. He who eats my flesh and drinks my blood stays in me and I in him. Remember what Yehukanan 15 said? You must remain in him in you, even to bear fruit. As the living Father sent me, and I live because of the Father, so he who feeds on me shall live because of me. See that? That's powerful stuff right there. This is the bread which came down out of the heaven, not as your fathers ate the manna and died. He who eats this bread shall live forever. He said this in a congregation, teaching in Kafar Nakum. Therefore, many of his pupils, having heard, said, this word is hard word. Who was able to hear it? Who can understand that? That's just crazy stuff. But Yahusha, knowing within himself that his pupils were grumbling about this, said to them. So when you explain scriptural truth and the secrets of Yahuwah to people, you can expect for them to not understand what you're saying and to doubt you, think you're nuts, and grumble. Man, hey, that dude's nuts, man. Do you hear what he was saying? I ain't never heard nothing like that in my life, man. That dude's nuts. Expect it, people. Expect it. He said to them, does this make you stumble? What if you see the son of Adam going up where he was before? Ooh, he was up there before, so he had to come down from above? Oh, wait a minute now. That means he pre-existed the incarnation. So he didn't begin. His beginning wasn't at the incarnation then. Oh, that's busting some bubbles and rattling some chains out there, isn't it? What if you see the son of Adam going up where he was before? Boy, give that some thought. It is the Ruach that gives life. The flesh does not profit at all. The words that I speak to you are Ruach in our life. So the words are spiritual words and are words of life, everlasting life, matter of fact. But there are some of you who do not believe. Some of you who do not believe. Isn't that a fact? For Yahusha knew from the beginning who they were who did not believe and who would deliver him up. And he said, because of this, I have said to you that no one is able to come to me unless it has been given to him by my Father. See that? So you can expect people not to accept your testimony, your witness, or your Besor of Yahusha, if they haven't, and it's not been given to them by Yahuwah himself, by the Father. So expect it. You can't save the world, man. From then on, many of his pupils withdrew. Now, this is huge. And we're not walking with him anymore. So now you can expect this, people. If you've been talking to a group of people about the Besor of Yahusha and about the word of truth for a while, and all of a sudden, because of their misunderstandings or their lack of understanding the teaching, these people will leave you. They will leave. They will walk away. They will run away. They will hide because of the lack of understanding of what you're saying to them, because they're not at that level. They've never reached that level of understanding. Most likely because they didn't want it bad enough, or they didn't even ask for it. And so Yahuwah never gave it to them to understand. So see, you have to want it really bad. You got to believe it and want it super duper bad in the worst way to receive it. You can't be a limp noodle. You can't be walking on the fence. You can't be trying to understand from your own understanding and teaching people with your own understanding, not even really, understand what you're talking about. That leads many people astray, and you're going into the negative count. Not only you're not producing good fruit or gathering fruit into your basket, you're going into a negative count because you're leading people astray. And that puts you into a negative count. All right, so expect this for people do not understand your teaching, will leave you. They did here to Yahusha, they'll do it to you. From then on, many of his pupils withdrew and were not walking with him anymore. Why? Because he laid some spiritual knowledge on them and they couldn't handle it. That's why. They thought they knew more than he did, I guess. And they couldn't understand it, nor could they accept the spiritual insight that he laid on them. They didn't stick around to try to find out. They just left. So this man's crazy. That don't even make sense. Well, he's saying, I've never heard of that. In all my born days, I ain't never heard anything like that. That dude's mad. I'm out of here. I ain't listening to him no more. All because they never reached that level of understanding because they didn't ask for it or they didn't pursue it bad enough. Yahusha therefore said to the 12, do you also wish to go away? Then Simon Kepha answered him, Master, to whom shall we go? You possess words of everlasting life. And we have believed, and we know that you are the Mashiach, the Son of the living Elohim. Yahusha answered them, have I not chosen you, the 12, and one of you is a devil? And he was speaking of Yehuda from Quiriath, the son of Simon, for he, one of the 12, was about to deliver him up or betray him. All right. So that's some powerful insight there on what we can expect for people to do. So even though they're the ones that's not understanding the teaching, it's you're nuts. And so they'll walk away from you, say you're crazy, leaving you alone, abandoning you. Just because you spoke the truth and gave them spiritual insight. So expect it. It's going to happen. Okay, so now let's look over at John 7, 2 through 5. John 7, 2 through 5 says, and the festival of the Yehudim was near, the festival of Succoth. So his brother said to him, get away from here and go unto Yehuda, so that your pupils also see the works that you are doing. For no one acts in secret while he himself seeks to be known openly. If you do these works, show yourself to the world. For even his brothers did not believe in him. Okay, so what is this? Well, let's read 6 and that's fine. 2 and 5. 2 through 5 is good. Okay, so what's this saying? Your family, okay, may not believe your truth, your words of truth. Okay, so his brothers did not believe in him. Not only did his brothers, his siblings, not believe in him, they mocked him as being a fraud, as being fraudulent. And so this is something we can expect. So when you begin to share truth to your family, don't get all upset and bent out of shape if you find that your siblings do not believe the truth that you're laying on them. And they mock you and tease you and ridicule you for teachings that they've never heard of before. Happened to Yahusha, it can happen to you. So expect it. Matter of fact, I'd say that's a big one to expect because it's going to happen. Not only with your siblings, but all your relatives and friends will be mocking you and ridiculing you. For even his brothers did not believe in him. See that? So if they did not, his brothers did not believe in him, expect for your siblings not to believe you either. So don't get all wound up about that. You should expect that, and then maybe if you're anticipating it and knowing it's coming, then maybe you'll know how to handle it just a little bit better. What did Yahusha do? He just simply walked away from them. That's what he did. Okay, he sent them on their way, and then he went about his business. All righty, but we all know that later on they believed in him. Why? Because of he lived righteously. They knew that, and then they witnessed his resurrection. They all saw him die, and they witnessed his resurrection after he resurrected his own body. Okay, and then they believed. All right. Something here I want to point out here before we go any further is notice that in Scripture there's no evidence. We saw where Yahuwah was persecuted for doing good on Shabbat. It was also kind of same as obeying the 10 words. He was kind of persecuted for obeying the 10 words in a way that he understood them to be obeyed, and people accused him of being a sinner, so therefore accused him of breaking the 10 words, 10 to borrow, and for breaking the Shabbat as well, and for saying that he was the son of Elohim. Okay, so notice there, though, that there's no evidence that he was ever persecuted for keeping or teaching, keeping the Shabbat or teaching on the Shabbat, which he did. He always taught on the Shabbat, and he always did good on the Shabbat. Okay, but there's no evidence in here that says he was ever persecuted for doing those things. It's just kind of strange. So let's look at John 10. 24. Let's go to 10:24 and read down through to the end, 42. All right, so Yehukanan 10:24. So the Yehudim surrounded him and said to him, "How long do you keep us in suspense? If you are the Mashiach, say to us plainly." Yahusha answered them, "I have told you, and you do not believe. The works that I do in my Father's name, they bear witness concerning me." So even after you tell them, they ask you questions and they tell you, and you tell them the answer to those questions, you can expect for them not to believe you. Maybe even call you a liar or tell you you're wrong or whatever, or you're a heretic, whatever. Okay. Why would you not believe? Because you are not of my sheep. But you do not believe because you are not of my sheep, as I said to you. So there you go. So if they don't believe you, even after you tell them the truth, then you can know in your mind, you should know that the reason they're not hearing you and the reason they're not accepting the truth is because they are not his sheep. You're speaking to someone that is hidden to the lake of fire from the foundations of the world. They're not written in the Lamb's book of life. Not everybody's written in there, sorry to say. So you can know that and you can stop pounding your head against the pavement. But you do not believe because you are not of my sheep. And as I said to you, my sheep hear my voice and I know them and they follow me. See that? So there comes a time where you know that you're not speaking to one of his sheep. You might as well knock the dust off of your shoes and move on, wasting your time. And you can expect that to happen a lot. And I give them everlasting life, and they shall by no means ever perish, and no one shall snatch them out of my hand. My Father, who has given them to me, is greater than all, and no one is able to snatch them out of my Father's hand. I and my Father are one. This is Hebrew idiom meaning that they're the same, one in the same. So by saying this idiom, all the Yehudim within earshot knew that he was proclaiming to be the Father. They had no problem understanding that. Us English speakers seem to have a problem understanding that. Again, the Yehudim picked up stones to stone him. Why? Because he just said he was the Father. He was Yahuwah. That's why. And again, the Yehudim picked up stones to stone him because he just said, I and my Father are one, which in the Hebrew mindset means I am Yahuwah. I am the Father. You're seeing the Father right here in the flesh. I've revealed myself in the flesh so your carbon copied eyes can see me. Paraphrasing, of course. Yahusha answered them, many good works I have shown you from my Father. Because of which of these works do you stone me? And so he's saying, look, the Father's the one doing all these miracles, these signs, these wonders. It's no human flesh, no man, fleshly man could do these. Just Yahuwah can do them. So which one are you going to stone me for? Because I got to be Yahuwah, or I couldn't be doing these things you're seeing me do. The Yehudim answered him, saying, we do not stone you for a good work, but for blasphemy, and because you, being a man, make yourself Yahuwah, or Elohim. Yahusha said to them, is it not written in your own Torah, I said you are Elohim? If he called them Elohim, to whom the word of Elohim came, and it is impossible for the scripture to be broken or to lie, do you say of him whom the Father set apart and sent into the world, you are blaspheming? Because I said I am the son of Elohim? Okay, so this is powerful stuff right here, man. I'm going to stop right here. So they're accusing him of stoning, of blaspheming, okay? So if you do good works, let's just say you're able to heal, you have the gift of healing or prophesying or speaking in tongues or interpretation or prophesying or love, whatever, okay? And so they accused your good works of being blasphemy, okay? And it's just trying to state you make yourself out to be Yahuwah. You can expect blasphemy for this. And it's not written in your own Torah, I said you are Elohim. And he called them Elohim, to whom the word of Elohim came. And it is impossible for the scripture to be broken. Go to Psalms 82. Psalms 82. So Psalms 82 says this. Elohim stands in the assembly of all. He judges in the midst of the Elohim. How long would you judge perversely and show partiality to the wrong? Salah. So Elohim stands in the assembly of all. He's all in all. Yahuwah is all in all. So we, his creation, his people, all right, we are all Elohim. He says we are. Okay, we'll get to it. We are all Elohim because we came from Elohim. Okay, so Elohim stands in the assembly of all in all. Give right ruling to the poor and fatherless. Do not do right to the afflicted and needy. Rescue the poor and needy. Deliver them from the hand of the evildoer. They do not know, nor do they understand. They walk about in darkness. All the foundations of the Eretz are shaken. This is Yahuwah talking now. I said, you are Elohim, and all of you are sons of the Most High. But as men, you die, and fall as one of the heads. Arise, O Elohim, judge the Eretz, for you shall possess all the nations. Now, there's a big time spiritual meaning in this, but you got to understand what Yahuwah is saying here. He's saying you are Elohim. Elohim is in plural. That means his body. So you're going to be Elohim. You're going to be Yahuwah in eternal reign because you're going to be his body. He's going to fully indwell his body. Okay. So I said, you are Elohim. Everyone together is Elohim, his body and him, all in all. And all of you are sons of the Most High. If you're a son of the Most High, does that make you an all? I would say it does. If your father is Elohim, Alua, then that means that you are. But as men, you die. In this fallen world, as a man, your fleshly body will die. Your vessel is going to die. And fall is one of the heads, one of the sovereign, one of the kings, because you are, once you enter into the everlasting covenant and you become his body, you are sovereign and a priest to Yahuwah. You fall as one of the sovereigns, one of the heads. Arise, O Elohim, resurrected from the dead. Arise, O Elohim. Judge the Eretz. We will judge with Yahuwah. We'll be judges with Yahuwah in the millennium, right? For you shall possess all the nations. The bride will be king and kings and priests with Yahuwah. And we will judge the earth with Yahuwah during the millennium, right? So that's very powerful stuff right there. Okay. So go back over there now to John. And if I do not do the works of my Father, do not believe me. So only Yahuwah can do these works that he's doing. But if I do, though you do not believe me, believe the works, so that you know and believe that the Father is in me and I in him. In other words, so you know that I'm the Father, because of the works that he's doing, no man can do. No demon can do them. No Malachim can do them. Only Yahuwah can do these works. So he has to be Yahuwah. Has to be. And Yahuwah cannot die. And so just the Lamb died. Yahuwah disrobed himself of his body of flesh. Therefore, they were seeking again to seize him because he was saying he was Yahuwah. But he went forth out of their hand and went once more to the other side of the garden, to the place where Yehukanan was immersing at first. And there he stayed. And many came to him and said, Yehukanan indeed did no sign. Yehukanan did no sign. No man can do any of those signs, period. Yet all that Yehukanan said about this man was true, and many believed him there because of the signs that he was doing. No man could do those signs. Only Yahuwah could do those signs. Okay, so there we can expect persecution for doing good works, for using the name, and also for telling somebody that you are a son of the Most High, which makes you part of Yahuwah. Okay, in the Hebrew mindset, set equal with Yahuwah, meaning you are Yahuwah, or the son of light, or even proclaiming that you are the son of Yahuwah, or the son of the Most High. Expect persecution for using any of that verbiage. And if you tell them that you are Elohim, expect them to punch you in the nose, probably. Okay, so they wanted to kill Yahusha because he said it. You think they wouldn't hesitate to punch you in your nose for saying something like that? They'd think you done lost your mind. Of course they would. They were going to kill Yahusha for it. So why would you expect anything less than a punch in the nose? All right, so let's go to John 18. John 18, 4 through 10. Yahusha, then knowing all that would come upon him, went forward and said to them, Who do you seek? They answered him, Yahusha of Nazareth. Yahusha said to them, I am. And Yehuda, who delivered him up, was also standing with them. When therefore he said to them, I am, they drew back and fell to the ground. Once more he asked them, Whom do you seek? And they said, Yahusha of Nazareth. Yahusha answered, I said to you that I am. If then you seek me, allow these to go, in order that the word might be concluded which he spoke. Of those whom you have given me, I have lost none. Then Simon Kepha, having a sword, drew it and struck the high priest's servant and cut off his right ear, and the servant's name was Melech. Okay, so here we can see that using the name, pronouncing the name is a very powerful tool. So you can see some adverse or even some pushback or rejection when you use the true name. I mean, you can knock them back on their heels and they might even just get out of there. They might, the name itself could cause them to flee from you. So by using the true name, we can expect power to come from that name, as it did here when Yahuwah pronounced that he was I am. Okay, so you can see that. And then we go over here to Matthew 26, keeping that in mind. Matthew 26, 67. Matthew 26, 67. Well, actually, you know what? Let's see. Let's look at 59. Let's go to Matthew 26, 59 through 66. It says, all right, it says, and the chief priests and the elders and all the councils were seeking false witness against Yahusha to put him to death, but found none. Although many false witnesses came forward, they found none. But at least 2 false witnesses came forward and said, this one said, I am able to destroy the temple of Elohim and to build it in 3 days. And the high priest stood up and said to him, have you no answer to make? What do these witnesses against you? But Yahusha remained silent. So the high priest said to him, I put you to oath by the living Elohim that you say to us, if you are the Mashiach, the son of Elohim. Yahusha said to him, "You have said it. But besides, I say to you, from now on you shall see the Son of Adam sitting at the right hand of Yahuwah and coming on the clouds of the heaven." Then the high priest tore his robe, saying, "He has blasphemed. Why do we need any more witnesses? Seeing now you have heard his blasphemy. What do you think?" And they answered and said, "He is liable to death." Then they spit in his face and beat him up, and others slapped him, saying, "Prophesy to us, Mashiach, who is the one striking you?" Okay, so we can relate to this in a way that if we give testimony and witness about Yahuwah and Yahusha, we can be accused of blaspheming and being called a heretic and so forth and so on. We can also be hurt. We can be spit on, beaten up, punched in the nose, slapped in the face, mocked. People mocking you, smacking you around, pushing you to prophesy if you're a son of Yahuwah, things like this. So this all happened to Yahusha. We can expect these things, even physical hurt, to happen to us as well. So this would be nothing out of the ordinary. This would be something we would expect to happen. Okay. All right, so let's move on and look at Luke 4. So Luke 4, 14 through 32 says, "And Yahusha returned in the power of the Ruach to Galilee. And news of him went out through all the surrounding country. And he was teaching in their congregations, being praised by all. And he came to Nazareth, where he had been brought up. And according to his practice, he went into the congregation on Yom Shabbat and stood up to read. And the scroll of the prophet Yeshayahu, or Isaiah, was handed to him, and having unrolled the scroll, he found the place where it was written, "The Ruach of Yahuwah is upon me, because he has anointed me, Aleph and Tau, to bring the Basora to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to proclaim release to the captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to send away crushed ones with the release, to proclaim the acceptable year of Yahuwah." And having rolled up the scroll, he gave it back to the attendant and sat down. And the eyes of all the congregation were fixed upon him. And he began to say to them, "Today the scripture has been concluded in your hearing." And all were bearing witness to him and marveled at the pleasant words that came out of his mouth. And they said, "Is this not the son of Joseph?" Okay, so you can see him turning on him right here. So things are going smooth and good, and then all of a sudden something happens and they turn on you all at once. So you can expect that. Okay, watch out for that and expect that. And he said to them, "No doubt you shall say this prophet to me, 'Physician, heal yourself. Whatever we have heard being done in Kepha Nakum, do also here in your country." And he said, "Truly I say to you, no prophet is accepted in his own country. But truly I say to you, many widows were in Israel in the days of Elijah or Eliyahu, when the heaven was shut up for 3 years and 6 months, and there was a great scarcity of food in all the land. And Eliyahu, was sent to none of them, but to Seraphoth or Zidon, to an Asha, a widow. And many leopards were in Israel in the time of Elijah the prophet, and none of them was cleansed except Naaman the Armenian. And all those in the congregation, when they heard this, were filled with wrath." Okay. "And rising up, they drove him out of the city and brought him to the brow of the hill which their city was built, in order to throw him down." So we can see here how they turned on him from liking him to hating him type deal. So we can see this bipolar type transaction or transition from people for no reason at all. So be aware of that. And now they're wanting to kill him. So be he passing through the midst of them went away. And he came down to Kepha-Nahum in the city of Galilee and was teaching them on the Shabbat. And they were astonished at his teaching, for his word was with authority. Okay, so quite amazing here that by hearing a testimony that they can turn on you and want to destroy you, not believing in what you said. So this kind of reminds me of perhaps if you see something or you witness a sign, say you see a light, say you see something, anything, okay, and then you tell somebody about that, you can expect persecution. Okay, so Yahusha was persecuted in that way, and so don't expect anything other than that otherwise for yourself. Okay, so let's take a look at 33 through 37 here of Luke chapter 4. And in the congregation was a man having a ruach of an unclean demon, and he cried out with a loud voice, saying, "Ha! What have we to do with you, Yahusha of Nazareth? Did you come to destroy us? I know you, who you are, the set apart one of Elohim." And Yahusha rebuked him, saying, "Be silent, and come out of him." And when the demon had thrown him in their midst, it came out of him without hurting him. And astonishment came on all, and they spoke to each other, saying, "What is this word? That with authority and power he commands the unclean ruachs, and they come out." And the report about him went out into every place of the neighborhood. Okay, now let's continue on. And rising up from the congregation, he went into the house of Simon, but the mother-in-law of Simon was sick with a severe inflammation. And they asked him concerning her. And standing over her, he rebuked the inflammation, and it left her, and instantly rising up, she served them. And when the sun was setting, all who had any who were sick with various diseases brought them to him, and he laid his hands on each one of them and healed them. So he's doing all kinds of signs and miracles and stuff that nobody could do but Yahuwah. And also demons were coming out of many, crying out and saying, "You are the Mashiach, the son of Elohim." And rebuking them, he did not allow them to speak, for they knew that he was the Mashiach. And when day came, he went out and proceeded to a lonely place. But the crowds were seeking him and came to him and tried to keep him from leaving them. And he said to them, "To the other cities I also have to bring the Besorah, the reign of Yahuwah. Because of this I have been sent." And he was proclaiming in the congregations of Galilee. So here we can see that when you're teaching people about the Besorah and you're picking up fruit, that you can expect to be restrained or detained in that place or in that area or whatever, and they will try to prohibit you from to spreading the Besorah further away. And so you got to expect that because it happened to Yahuwah, but he didn't allow it. So he went out and spread the Besorah even further. Okay, so we got to remember that they may try to detain you or restrict you to keep you from spreading that Besorah. Okay, so you can expect that to happen as well. Okay, now let's look over here at let's see. Matthew 4, 1 through 11. Matthew 4, 1 through 11. All right, so it says, then Yahusha was led up by the Ruach into the wilderness to be tried by the devil. And after having fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was hungry. And the trier came and said to him, if you are the son of Elohim, order that these stones become bread. But he answering said, it has been written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that comes from the mouth of Yahuwah. Then the devil took him up into the set apart city, set him on the edge of the set apart place, and said to him, if you are the son of Elohim, throw yourself down. For it has been written, he shall command his messengers concerning you. And in their hands they shall bear you up, so that you do not dash your foot against a stone. Yahusha said to him, it has also been written, you shall not test Yahuwah your Elohim. Again the devil took him up on a very high mountain and showed him all the reigns of the world and their esteem, and said to him, all these I shall give you if you fall down and worship me. Then Yahusha said to him, go, Satan, for it is written, you shall worship Yahuwah your Elohim, and him alone you shall serve. Then the devil left him, and see, messengers came and attended him. So there you go. So what's going on here? Well, Yahusha was tempted by the devil, and so we can expect this to happen to us as well. We can be tempted by the devil and or demons and trying to lead us astray. And the way Yahusha defended against the devil and these demons was that he used scriptures. So it's pretty important for you to be familiar with scriptures, especially when you become up against principalities of darkness. Scripture becomes a very important weapon for you to use. And so we see here that since Yahusha was tempted by the devil, we can expect the devil to bring temptation into our lives as well and try to lead us astray, cause us to turn. Okay, and we don't want to do that. We don't want to have any shadow of turning. Up here where it says, you shall not test Yahuwah your Elohim, it's pretty clear here, especially if you think a little bit harder about that quote, that you can see here that Yahusha is declaring who he is to the devil. You shall not test Yahuwah your Elohim, speaking of himself in first person. Pretty interesting. Okay, so expect temptation. It's going to happen. Happened to Yahusha, it's going to happen to us. All right, so here in Matthew 8, we get from about 26 to 34 here. We see another example of what we may expect. It says, and he said to them, this is Matthew 8, 26 through 34. And he said to them, why are you afraid, you of little belief? And having risen, he rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. And the men marveled, saying, what is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him? Does that mean, since Yahuwah did miracles, that we can expect to be able to do miracles as well? And the answer to that is, in short, yes, absolutely, because of who is indwelling you. You have the creator of all things in you. Yeah, you can expect for him to do miracles through his chosen vessels, which is you, if he does in fact indwell you. And when he came to the other side, to the country of the Girgashites, 2 demon-possessed ones met him, coming out of the tombs, very fierce, so that no one was able to pass that way. And see, they cried out, saying, "What have we to do with you, Yahusha, son of Elohim? Have you come here to torture us before the appointed time?" And at a distance from them, there was a herd of many pigs feeding. And the demons begged him, saying, "If you cast us out, send us into the herd of pigs." And he said to them, "Go." And they, coming out, went into the herd of pigs. And see, the entire herd of pigs rushed down the steep place into the sea and died in the water. And the herdsmen fled and went away into the city and reported all this, and about those possessed by demons. And see, all the city came out to meet Yahusha, and when they saw him, they begged him to leave their borders. So here we can see that Yahusha did a great work here for these people. He did a good work, and then these people rejected him, even to the point where they begged him to leave their borders. So we can expect for people, even though you go there, bring the Basura of Yahusha, do good works there for them or help them do anything at all. You can ask for them to beg you to leave and leave them alone. Why? Because you're hurting them. You're hurting them with the truth. The two-edged sword's cutting them to pieces, and they can't stand it no more, so they want you to leave out of their presence so they can go about their wicked lifestyle. You can relate to that. I know you can, and so you can expect this for people to ask you to leave and not come back. I put up with this with your teachings for a while and everything, but you know what? I just can't stand it no more. Don't tell me anymore. Just please leave. Don't come around anymore. So we can see that now. It's being part of what we can expect. Okay, so let me see now. Let's go over to Matthew. Let's go to Mark 3:21. Mark 3:21 says, "And when his family heard about this, they went out to seize him, for they said, 'He is out of his mind.'" So then it says, "And the scribes who came down from Jerusalem said, 'He has Beelzebul, and he cast out demons by the ruler of the demons.'" Okay, so here Yahusha is not only betrayed by his family. It says his family now. This would be more than just his siblings. This is probably his mother involved, maybe some cousins, uncles, aunts, who knows. But his family turned against him and didn't believe him either. And so they kind of like went against him, and they went out to seize him. They wanted to drag him back home and lock him in a room and keep him there because they said he was out of his mind. They thought he done went insane and thought he was Yahuwah. So you can kind of expect this kind of thing from your family as well. And even to the point where people are saying he's has Beelzebul. In other words, you're possessed by a demon. You're talking crazy. You have a demon in you because you're speaking truth. And so you can see this type of gossip, this slander, if you will, this rejection from your family, slander and ridicule by others, saying that you're demon possessed, you're a heretic, blah, blah, blah. And they'll even call you mad, crazy, insane. They may even call you evil. Demon done took you over, and you're talking crazy, talking evil, because you're not teaching scriptures the way they know it. See that? You can go on and read the rest of that chapter and see how he handles it. But the point I'm trying to make is that you can expect this type of talk from your own, even your own family. Okay, saying that you're insane out of your mind, you're in a cult, you're an heretic, and blah blah blah, and even other people come around and start saying you're insane, mad, and out of your mind, crazy, stuff like that. Happened to Yahusha, can happen to you. Okay, so let's look at Mark 6, 1 through 6. It says, and he went away from there and came to his own country, and his Talmud followed him. And Shabbat having come, he began to teach in the assembly. And many who heard him were astonished, saying, where did he get all this? And what wisdom is this which is given to him, that such miracles are done through his hands? Isn't this the carpenter, the son of Miriam, and the brother of Jacob, and Joseph, and Yehuda, and Simon? And are not his sisters with us? Then they stumbled at him. And Yahusha said to them, a prophet is not unappreciated except in his own region, and among his own relatives, and in his own house. And he was unable to do any miracle there except that he laid his hands on a few sick ones and healed them. And he marveled because of their unbelief. And he was going around among the villages teaching. Okay, so here you can see he's in his hometown. So you get around your hometown friends that you grew up with, your family, your cousins, siblings, all this. You can expect for them and the neighbors and the friends and people that you grew up around that hometown to bring up your past, like they are doing here. Isn't this the carpenter son of Miriam? This and his brothers and sisters are with us. And so what they're saying is, look, man, we know you. We know who you were when you grew up. Now, with us, it can even get deeper. You know, they can say, yeah, I remember when you used to go out and party all the time. I remember you knocking up all them girls in high school. I remember you taking drugs or drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes. I know who you are. Stop acting like you're some type of a reborn prophet or something. You know, we know you. We know where you come from. And so they don't accept the new creature. So you can expect this around your hometown where you grew up and around your relatives and so forth and so on. So expect them to bring up your past and use your past against you. They did it to Yahusha. They'll do it to you. So the people in his hometown did not believe him because of his past and because they knew him growing up. All right. So hometown, family, friends, neighbors, acquaintances, school buddies will use your childhood, your past against you. Matter of fact, they'll try to keep you in it. They don't want to allow you to escape your childhood and refuse to believe that you could change that much. And they'll use that against you to try to bring you back down into their level, down into the miry pit that they're still living in. So be aware of that. Watch out for that and expect that to happen if you go back to your hometown and try spreading the Master Yahusha around. Okay? That's a huge one. Because that can cause stumbling and people to fall away. because it belittles you. And it makes you, after you've moved on and you're now a new creature and you're living for Yahuwah, it can make you come back to who you used to be and make you start thinking that, yeah, they're right. I'm still that same person, I don't have any right or any business going around acting like I'm a son of Yahuwah. What am I thinking? And it can make you fall away. So you got to be careful of that. It happened to Yahusha, so it can happen to you. I mean, he didn't fall away, but the ridicule, the persecution was there in his hometown. And so you can expect it to be there in your hometown as well. That's a big one. So here's, go to Mark 7, 1-9 says, and the Prushim and some of the scribes assembled to him, having come from Jerusalem, and seeing some of his Talmudid eat bread with defiled, that is, with unwashed hands, they found fault. For the Prushim and all the Yehudim do not eat unless they wash their hands ritually, holding fast the traditions of the elders. And coming from the marketplace, they do not eat unless they wash, and there are many other traditions which they have received and hold fast. The washing of cups and utensils and copper vessels and beds. Then the Prushim and scribes asked him, why do your Talmud not walk according to the tradition of the elders, but eat bread with unwashed hands? And he answering said to them, well, did Yashayahu or Isaiah prophesy concerning you hypocrites? Call them hypocrites. That means they were doing the same thing. They did it too. So watch out for the hypocrites. As it has been written, this people respect me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. And in vain do they worship me, teaching as teachings the commands of men. Forsaking the command of Elohim, you hold fast the tradition of men. And he said to them, well, do you set aside the command of Elohim in order to guard your tradition? So here you go. So we can expect for people to be hypocrites, in other words, speak what you want to hear in front of you, and then behind you, they call you crazy and heretic and all kind of member of a cult and all this other stuff, But more importantly, here we can see here that they will they scorn you and mock you and condemn you for not following or keeping traditions or holidays. So beware of that. It happened to Yahusha. It will happen to you. What do you mean you don't celebrate Christmas and Easter? What's wrong with you? Are you crazy, man? Are you out of your mind? Why would you turn your back on the traditions of our nation or on religious holidays that promote Christianity? You lost your marbles? Have you went mad? Come on, man. Snap out of it. Come on over. Eat Christmas ham with me. In Christmas time, we're going to have a big fat ham and sit down and eat that pig meat. What's wrong with your mind, boy? Had the cheese slipped off your crackers? So expect it. They will hold fast to their traditions and holidays and religions, and they'll try to suck you right back into it. And I say a lot of people give in to that temptation every year, is my guess. It's, they go over to mom's house for Christmas and all the relatives there and just cave into that peer pressure, not wanting to isolate themselves and be alone on that day that's so been engulfed with family tradition and members and stuff like that. So it's a huge one to overcome, but if you stay in Yahusha and Yahusha in you, you should be able to overcome that temptation. But expect it to be scorned and mocked for not keeping or participating in national holidays and family traditions. Okay. Happen to Yahusha, you can just bet it's going to happen to you. Okay, let's go to Mark 14, 41 through 50. And he came the third time and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? It is over. The hour has come. See, the Son of Adam is being delivered up into the hands of the sinners. Rise up, let us go. See, he who has delivered me up has drawn near." And right then, while he was still speaking, Yehuda, one of the 12 with a large throng with swords and clubs, came from the chief priests and the scribes and the elders. And the one who was delivering him up had given them a cue, saying, "Whomever I kiss, it is he. Seize him and lead him away safely." And going straight up to him, he said to him, "Rabbi, Rabbi," and kissed him. And they laid their hands on him and seized him. And one of those standing by drew his sword and struck the servant of the high priest and cut off his ear. And Yahusha answering said to them, "Have you come out as against a robber with swords and clubs to take me? Daily I was with you in the set apart place teaching, and you did not seize me. But let the scripture be concluded." And they all left him and fled. They all left him and fled. Speaking of what? His Talmudim, his friends. Okay, so this one here may be the saddest of all, but we can expect this because it happened to Yahusha. And so you have a friend, a dear friend, someone that you love and respect, and you trust them, right? So we know that there's trust there, trust, respect, and love, right? Probably the three signs of a friendship. And this, in particular, friend of Yahusha's betrayed him with a kiss, meaning that he used Yahusha's love against him. So you can expect for people to use your love against you, to hurt you, betray you, deceive you, turn you over, tell on you, get you in trouble, whatever you want to say. And then on top of people using your love against you, which is a huge betrayal, right? 50 says, and they all left and fled. What's that? That's abandonment. That's running away, leaving you on your own, leaving you to your own devices. Whatever happens, too bad. I'm out of here. You know, I'm worried about myself. Sorry about you, but I'm gone. Right? So abandonment and using your love against you, maybe the saddest of everything that we've read tonight, can be expected to happen to you, since you are walking in the true pattern of Yahusha. So be aware of it, expect it. And, all these things we're going over that we can expect to happen to us and anticipate them. And hopefully we can even pray for them to happen, because it proves that we're chosen. We're the election, right? When these things happen to you, it's a blessing. And you're right. That's what scripture, remember we read that, it's a blessing. So, it gives you time, and once you understand this, it gives you time to prepare yourself. Okay, knowing that these things are going to happen, what will I do when they happen? You know what I mean? And so maybe you can get over them quicker that way, or maybe even have some kind of strategy to get yourself out of that situation quicker, less pain, suffering. But there will be pain and suffering. Know that. Okay, so that's a very sad one there in Mark 14, 41 through 50, but one that we all need to be aware of because it may be the one that can hurt you the most. Okay, people using your love against you and abandon you at your direst need. When you really need them the most, they leave you by yourself to fend for yourself when you need them the most. That's hurtful, man, painful. Now let's look over here, same chapter, 14, Mark, at 55. And the chief priest and all the council were seeking witness against Yahusha to put him to death, and they were finding none. For many bore false witnesses against him, but their evidence did not agree. And some rose up and bore false witness against him, saying, we heard him saying, I shall destroy the temple that is made with hands, and within 3 days I shall build another made without hands. And not even then did their witness agree. Okay, so very powerful here. We can see here for no reason at all that you can expect false witness. Actually, a violation of the a direct violation of the 9th commandment, right? You do not bear a malicious witness against your neighbor, or false witness. We can expect it to happen because it happened to Yahusha. So watch out for false witnessing against you for something you didn't ever even do. Somebody's accusing you of doing it, they're just lying to get you in trouble because they don't like you or something. Or trying to get them or one of their loved ones out of trouble and blame it on you. So false witness, lying, gossiping, slandering your good name, false witness against you can all be expected, folks. It happened to Yahusha. I mean, he was in trial and they were false witnesses against him. So slandering, gossiping, lying, false witnessing against you will happen, should be anticipated and expected, and because it happened to the master, and no servant is greater than his master. So watch for it. Jump down to 65 here. Verse 65 in the same chapter 14, it says, and some began to spit on him and to blindfold him and to beat him and to say to him, prophesy. And the officer struck him with the palms of their hands. So you can expect people to be mean to you, spit in your face, punch you in the nose, beat you up, mock you, ridicule you, and all kinds of stuff that happened to Yahusha will happen to you. Okay. And 68 says, but he denied it, saying, I do not know nor understand what you are saying. And he went out onto the porch, and a rooster crowed. So this here is talking about Peter denying him. Okay, so it's your most dire moment when you need them the most. Not only do they abandon you and leave to your own accord, they even deny knowing you. They don't say anything in your favor to help you either. So basically, they're ashamed of you. They're embarrassed of you. They don't want to be hurt because of you. They deny knowing you like they denied knowing him. And we can expect that. So when a serious issue arises and people, start talking about you and everything, and you expect for one of your friends or relatives or neighbors or somebody to stick up for you, and they don't, They abandon you, leave you to your own devices, and even deny. No, well, I don't even really know him. I've only talked to him 2 or 3 times, yet they know you fairly well. They've talked to you maybe 30, 40, 50 times and for hours upon hours upon hours, but yet they deny you. Oh, I don't know him, man. I hardly even know him. I've only talked to him 2 or 3 times, man. I really don't know that guy, What a betrayal, So these kind of the things we can expect to happen as well because they happen to Yahusha. Okay, so let's see now. Okay, let's get a look here at Matthew 19. Now, Matthew 19, 16 through 30. And see, one came and said to him, Good teacher, what shall I do to have everlasting life? Okay, so is there any rewards for this? Is there anything good coming out of all this? Yes. We can expect the persecution, and feel the pain and the suffering that our master did, because he's in us and we're in him, and he's still living his life through us, walking on this dust inside of his chosen vessels, okay, collecting fruit and finding his lost sheep. And so we need to, we'll be suffering as he suffered, and suffering as he suffers, for sure, and rightfully so, because through his suffering, persecution, through our suffering, persecution, other people can come to Yahuwah and be delivered as well. So how about the rewarding of any of this? Let's look at it. Matthew 19, 16 through 30. What can I do to have everlasting life? And he said to him, Why do you call me good? No one is good except one, Elohim. But if you wish to enter into life, guard the commands. And he said to him, Which? And Yahusha said, You shall not murder, you shall not break wedlock, you shall not steal, you shall not bear false witness, respect your father and your mother, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. The young man said to him, All these I have watched over from my youth. What do I still lack? Yahusha said to him, If you wish to be perfect, go sell what you have and give to the poor, and you shall have treasure in heaven, and come follow me. And when the young man heard the word, he went away sad, because he had many possessions. Now, he didn't tell him he wouldn't have everlasting life. He just said, if you want to be perfect. Perfect in what? Perfect in love. If you're seeking the higher calling, then you have to go beyond that. You have to go beyond loving your neighbor as yourself. You have to love your neighbor more than yourself. You have to love everything more than yourself. Okay? Give your life up for your friends in order for so that you can collect them as fruit and bring them into the reign of Yahuwah with you. See that? Okay, and Yahusha said to his Talmudim, Truly I say to you that it is hard for a rich man to enter the reign of the Shemayim. And again I say to you, it is easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter into the reign of Yahuwah. And when his Talmud heard it, they were very astonished, saying, Who then is able to be delivered? And looking intently, Yahusha said to them, With men this is impossible, but with Elohim all is possible. Then Kepha answering said to him, See, we have left all and followed you. What then shall we have? And Yahusha said to them, Truly I say to you, when the son of Adam sits on the throne of his esteem, You who have followed me in the rebirth shall also sit on 12 thrones, judging the 12 tribes of Yisrael. And everyone who has left houses or brothers and sisters and father or mother or Asha and children or lands for my name's sake shall receive 100-fold and shall inherit everlasting life. But many who are first shall be last, and the last first. So there you go. Big, huge rewards, 100-fold plus everlasting life for suffering as he suffers, giving up everything for him. Okay, so let's look at Matthew 12, Matthew 12:21 through 34. And the nation shall trust in his name. Then they brought to him one who was demon-possessed, blind and dumb, and he healed him, so that the blind and dumb man both spoke and saw. And all the throngs were amazed and said, "Is this the son of David?" But when the Prushim heard it, they said, "This one does not cast out demons except by Baal-zebub, the ruler of the demons." And Yahusha knew their thoughts and said to them, "Every reign divided against itself is laid waste, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand." So you can expect for people when you teach them the Basura of Yahusha to turn it around and say that you're teaching the ways of Satan. Okay, so you can expect that reversal because they don't understand truth because they're in the delusion. That's why they don't understand the truth. But every reign divided against itself is laid waste, and every city or house divided against itself shall not stand. And if Satan cast out Satan, he is divided against himself. How then does his reign stand? And if I, by Beelzebub, do cast out demons, by whom do your sons cast them out? Because of this they shall be your judges. But if I cast out demons by the Ruach of Elohim, then the reign of Yahuwah has come upon you. Or how is it one able to enter a strong man's house and plunder his goods unless he first binds the strong man, and then he shall plunder his house? He who is not with me is against me, and he who does not gather with me scatters abroad. Because of this I say to you, all sin and blaspheming shall be forgiven men, but the blaspheming against the Ruach shall not be forgiven men. And whoever speaks a word against the son of Adam, it shall be forgiven him, but whoever shall be forgiven him, but whoever speaks against the Ruach HaKodesh, it shall not be forgiven him, either in this age or the age to come. Either identify the tree as good and its fruit is good, or else identify the tree as rotten and its fruit rotten. For a tree is known by its fruit. You brood of adders, how are you able to speak what is good, being wicked? For the mouth speaks from the overflow of the heart. Okay, so expect here for good to be called evil and for evil to be called good. And so when you're doing good works, expect for them to call it evil works. And when if somebody's doing evil works, then they'll say, "See that person over there? Now that's how you should be. That's a good man. That's a man of the cloth." But yet he's over there lying, telling all kinds of lies and falsehoods and teachings, being a false teacher. But yet he's considered good, and you're considered evil because you don't agree with the man of cloth and that religious sect that they're grew up in. See what I'm saying? So you can see this as you being treated as evil and a false prophet, a false teacher, while these people that are the wolves in sheep clothing, false teachers, false prophets, are being called good, men of cloth, and stuff like that. So you can see that reversal and witness that reversal, okay? All right, so it happened to Yahusha, it's going to happen to you. A high probability of it. Maybe not every single thing that happened to Yahusha will happen to you. There may be other things that didn't happen to Yahusha that may happen to you, but it's a high probability that you'll experience a lot of these things in your walk. High probability. And you very well could experience them all. All right, so we're closing in toward the end here now. I'd like to take a look here at Matthew 10. Matthew 10. And having called his 12 Talmudid near, he gave them authority over unclean ruachs, to cast them out and to heal every disease and every bodily weakness. And these are the names of the 12 emissaries. First, Simon, who was called Kepha, and Andrew his brother, Jacob the son of Zebediah, and Yehuchanan his brother, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Mattathias, the tax collector, Jacob the son of Alphaeus, and Lebiah, whose last name was Tediah, Simon the Canaanite, and Yehuda from Quiriath, who did also deliver him up. Yahusha sent these 12 out, having commanded them, saying, do not go into the way of the Goyim, the Gentiles, and do not enter a city of the Samaritans, but rather go to the lost sheep of the house of Yesharel. Isn't that interesting? And as you go, proclaim, saying, the reign of the Shemayim has drawn near. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out demons. You have received without paying, give without paid. Give without being paid. Do not acquire gold or silver or copper for your money belts, or a bag for the journey, and 2 undergarments or sandals or staffs. For the worker is worthy of his food. And into whatever city or village you enter, ask who is worthy in it, and stay there until you leave. And as you enter into a house, greet it. And if the house is worthy, let your peace come upon it. But if it is not worthy, let your peace return to you. And whoever does not receive you nor hear your words, when you leave that house or city, shake off the dust from your feet. Truly I say to you, it shall be more bearable for the land of Sodom and Gomorrah in the yom of judgment than for that city. See, I send you out as sheep in the midst of the wolves. Therefore be wise as serpents and innocent as doves. But beware of men, for they shall deliver you up to Sanhedrin and flog you in their assemblies. And you shall be brought before governors and sovereigns for my sake as a witness to them and to the nations. But when they deliver you up, do not worry about how or what you should speak, for it shall be given to you in that hour what you shall speak. For it is not you who speak, but the Ruach of your Father speaking in you. And brother shall deliver up brother to death, and a father his child, And children shall rise up against parents and shall put them to death. And you shall be hated by all for my name's sake. But he who shall have endured to the end shall be delivered. See that? So yes, we're going to suffer. It's going to be really bad, involving parents, your siblings, your neighbors, your friends, all types of people. But when you endure through all this persecution, all this pain, and you endure, stay true to Yahuwah, in the end, you will be delivered. That's a huge promise. So it's all going to be worth it in the end. So we can expect this persecution, and we deal with it like he did and live through it to the end and endure, and then we shall be delivered. And when they persecute you in the city, flee to another. For truly I say to you, you shall by no means have gone through the cities of Israel before the Son of Adam comes. A Talmud is not above his teacher. See that? A Talmud or student is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. It is enough for the Talmud to become like his teacher, and the servant like his master. It's enough. You don't have to be above him, do more than him. If they have called the master of the house Baal Sabub, how much more those of his household? So if they call you the devil, the master of the flies, father of lies, a blasphemer, they persecute you, slander you, and gossip about you, expect it. Expect it. Even if they call you the devil. Lord of the flies. Or the devil himself. Therefore do not fear them, for whatever is concealed shall be revealed, and whatever is hidden shall be known. What I say to you in the dark, speak in the light, and what you hear in the ear, proclaim on the housetops. And do not fear those who will kill the body, but are unable to kill the being. But rather fear him who is able to destroy both being and body in Gehenna. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a copper coin, and not one of them falls to the ground without your Father? And even the hairs of your head are all numbered. So do not fear. You are worth more than many sparrows. Everyone, therefore, who shall confess me before men, him I shall also confess before my Father, who is in the Shemaim. But whoever shall deny me before men, I shall also deny before my Father, who is in the Shemaim. Now we know that Peter did that very thing, and we know that Peter repented, got his head together, and then continued on with walking in the true pattern of Yahusha. Okay, so can there be deliverance after denial? Yes, but you better do it immediately. Do it quickly. Do not think that I have come to bring peace on the earth. I did not come to bring peace, but a sword. For I have come to bring division, a man against his father, a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law, and a man's enemies are those of his own household. Why? Because if they're teaching paganism and religions and paganism, witchcraft, sorcery, this kind of stuff, then they're an enemy of Yahuwah. If they love the world, they pursue power, position, and possessions, they're an enemy of the world. If we're grafted into the everlasting covenant, and Yahusha dwells us, we belong to him. Okay, and so now there's a division in the family because we're Yahuwah's property, they are the devil's property, or sin and death's property. They're the children of darkness or the children of light. So there's a division. What has darkness have to do with light, or what does light have to do with darkness? Nothing. He who loves father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he who loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Okay, so what's this mean? Well, this could be indicating, just for a simple example of this, would be the holidays. So you love your mom and your father and your siblings and everything more than Yahuwah, because although you know that that's paganism and they shouldn't be doing that, you're commanded not to do it. You love them more than you love the commands of Yahuwah, or Yahuwah obeying Yahuwah, so you go over there. Secretly go over there and celebrate Christmas and everything, and then you come back and start talking to the Nazarene or brothers and sisters in the Mashiach and in the body, and then you lie and pretend like you're not doing them things. So this is an indication that you love them, the pagans, even though they're your family, more than you do Yahuwah and his commands. Remember what he said. If you know him, you'll keep his commands. If you love me, you'll keep my commands. You got to remember that. And holidays, especially based on paganism, witchcraft, and sorcery, like all of them are, including birthdays, is an indication that you're loving someone else more than you're loving Yahuwah. Because all those holidays, those pagan holidays, horoscopes, astrology, birthdays, Christmas, Easter, all those is against Yahuwah. There's stuff that you're not supposed to do. So if you're doing them, then you love them more than you do Yahuwah. Not a good thing. And he who does not take up his pole and follow after me is not worthy of me. He who has found his life shall lose it, and he that has lost his life for my sake shall find it. He who receives you receives me, and he who receives me receives him who sent me. He who receives a prophet in the name of a prophet shall receive a prophet's reward. And he who receives a righteous one in the name of a righteous one shall receive a righteous one's reward. And whoever gives one of these little ones a cup of cold water, only in the name of a Talmud, truly I say to you, he shall by no means lose his reward. Wow. Yeah, that's some powerful stuff right there. Okay, last but not least, let's go to Luke. Luke 6:22 through 38. And we'll wrap her up. Luke 6:22. Says, blessed are you when men shall hate you, and when they shall cut you off, and shall reproach you, and cast out your name as wicked, for the sake of the Son of Adam. Rejoice in that day, and leap for joy. For look, your reward is great in the heaven. For that is how their fathers treated the prophets. But woe to you who are rich, because you are receiving your comfort. Woe to you who have been filled, because you shall hunger. Woe to you who are laughing now, because you shall mourn and weep. Woe to you when all men speak well of you. for thus their fathers did to the false prophets. Wow. They're speaking good of you, well of you, means you're of the world. You're in the same camp they are. But I say to you who are hearing, love your enemies, do good to those hating you, bless those cursing you, and pray for those insulting you. So although you're going to go through all this persecution and pain and suffering that Mashiach went through, we're commanded to forgive them, release them, bless them, and love them. That's perfection. That's being perfect like Yahuwah. Yahuwah loves everybody. He loves the just and the unjust, the wicked and the good. If he didn't love them, they wouldn't be here. So just that they're here among us means he loves them. And we have to respect that and honor that, because he's the creator, not us. And to him who hits you on the one cheek, offer the other also. And from him who takes away your outer garment, do not withhold the inner garment either. And give to everyone who asks of you. And from him who takes away what is yours, do not ask it back. And as you wish men should do to you, you also do to them in the same way. And if you love those loving you, what favor have you? For sinners too love those loving them. And if you do good to those doing good to you, what favor have you? For even sinners do the same. And if you lend to those from whom you expect to receive back, what favor have you? For even sinners lend to sinners to receive as much back. Rather, love your enemies and do good and lend, expecting none in return. And your reward shall be great, and you shall be sons of the Most High. See that? So if you're duplicating and replicating his character, because you know he loves them or they wouldn't be here, then you become a son of the Most High. And if you tell people you're the son of the Most High, you can expect retaliation of some form or other, because it happened to Yahusha. Because he is kind to the thankless and wicked ones. See that? He is. The sun rises on the just and the unjust. The rain falls on the good and the evil. Therefore be compassionate as your Father also is compassionate. See people through the eyes of Yahuwah. Look at them the way Yahuwah looks at them, with love. With love. He looks at them with love. He doesn't wish that anyone perish, but all would come to repentance. And do not judge, and you shall not be judged at all. Wow. Condemn not, and you shall not be condemned at all. Wow. Forgive, and you shall be forgiven. Give, and it shall be given to you. A good measure, pressed down and shaken together and running over, shall be put into your lap. For with the same measure with which you measure, it shall be measured back to you. You see that? What goes around comes around. You want good things to happen to you, do good things for others. You can't outgive Yahuwah. I'll give you that clue. And he spoke a parable to them. Is a blind able to lead a blind? Shall they not both fall into a pit? A pupil is not above his teacher, but everyone perfected shall be like his teacher. And why do you see the speck in your brother's eye, but are not aware of the log in your own eye? Or how are you able to say to your brother, Brother, let me take out the speck that is in your eye, not seeing the log in your own eye? Hypocrite, first take the log out of your own eye, and then you shall see clearly to take out the speck that is in your brother's eye. For a good tree does not yield rotten fruit, nor does a rotten tree yield good fruit. For each tree is identified by its own fruit. For they do not gather figs from thorns, nor do they gather grapes from a bramble bush. The good man brings forth what is good out of the good treasure of his heart, and the wicked man brings forth what is wicked out of the wicked treasure of his heart. So whatever you see somebody doing coming out of their heart is tells you if they're in the camp of darkness or in the camp of light. So there's no hiding it. You can't just say, well, yeah, I'm evil on the outside, but Yahuwah knows my heart. No, not only does Yahuwah know your heart, everybody knows your heart because we can see what your heart's producing, which is wicked treasure. Wickedness coming out of a wicked treasure of the heart. That's why you're doing the things you're doing, right? So it's not a mystery. You can't be good on the outside. I mean, wicked on the outside and good on the inside, and act like you're fooling somebody. I mean, why would you even want to do that? And there's people that act good on the outside and are wicked on the inside, or the opposite. Right? So why would a good person that's really good on the inside want to show that they're wicked on the outside? That makes no sense. But I can see why a wicked person would want to appear good on the outside, but are wicked on the inside because they're trying to, show a deception. They're trying to trick people. The other way around doesn't make sense. So it's a silly thing to say. Oh, he knows my heart. Hey, I'm a whore. I'm a drunk. I'm a drug addict. I'm a thief. I'm a robber. I worship idols. I perform paganism and witchcraft and all this, but he knows my heart. He knows I'm a good person. That's a joke. Stop saying that. It makes you look stupid. For out of the overflow of the heart, his mouth speaks. But why do you call me Master, Master, and do not do what I say? Everyone who is coming to me and is hearing my words and is doing them, I shall show you whom he is like. He is like a man building a house who dug deep and laid a foundation on the rock. And when a flood came, the stream burst against that house, but was unable to shake it, for it was founded on the rock. But the one hearing and not doing is like a man who built a house on the arets without a foundation, against which the stream burst and immediately it fell, and the ruin of that house was great. Hallelujah. Amen. Okay, so that about wraps that up for the night. Okay, so there we go. We can all see now that, if they called Yahuwah the Beelzebub, the devil, and said he was demon possessed and smacked him and spit on him, punched him in the nose, beat him up, tricked him, betrayed him, abandoned him, all those things we just read about, then you can see now those who are in the everlasting covenant can expect the same type of persecution that Yahusha received and is receiving as he indwells us. And that's why we'll receive it, because the world hated him first and now hating us now because of his name, because he's in us. The world didn't start liking him all of a sudden. They hated him from the beginning. They still hate him. Okay. Because they're not his. So they despise him. The ones that are his are thankful and grateful to him for pardoning us and giving us a second chance, delivering us from the lake of fire when that time comes, giving us everlasting life with him. And so we're thankful and we appreciate that. Okay, so I hope that helps somebody out there. I know I got a lot out of that study. I thought it was very interesting, and I hope all of you did too. Thanks for everybody for coming into the chat room, chatting up a storm. Appreciate it. Love all of you. Love seeing y'all here. Love studying every week with you. And don't forget about tomorrow morning. We got we'll be going on Zoom at noon, 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on Spark NU is Yah channel. Same place, different time. 12 o'clock noontime p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 11 o'clock a.m. here in Texas, where I'm at. So we're going to start a new study. It's be a great time to join us. If you've never been there, come on, join us. You'll surely will be baruched. We're going to start in the book of Yahuchanan tomorrow. We're studying in the book of Yahuchanan tomorrow. So don't miss it. Be there or be square. And remember to stay in love with Yahusha. So long, Natsarim, beloved of Yahuwah. So long, everybody. See you next week. Peace, joy, and love to everybody. Don't ever give up your peace and your joy to anyone. That's a gift from Yahusha. Hang on to it. Remain in his peace and remain in his joy. See you next week. So long.